of a man. I'm your co-host, Tobie Famusipe, and today we have again our co-host, the General James Jones. And today because of what we had last week, it was so good last week that we had the honor of bringing back round 2 of our series, Generational Curses. We're bringing back Miss Arlancia Williams. She's coming back again to give us more education on generational curses. Last week, we got a lot of reviews from people who watched the show after the show was live, and they got back to us and said that this was really, really good. I'm like, guess what? She's coming back this week, y'all. So today, for those of you who have reached out to people to watch part 2 of this episode of this series, please welcome. Miss Arlancia is going to reintroduce herself for those who are coming in for the first time. So, Miss Arlancia, take it away.
Hi guys, I'm Arlancia Williams, and I am principal broker and owner of Platinum Trust Realty. I am co-owner to Williams Property Group. I am also owner of Tease Hair Heaven and caregiver to my mom and creator of the Flip Queen reality show that I can't talk about right now, but it's pretty much sums it up.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep. And then, General, anything you'd like to say before we get started?
I can't hear.
You're on mute.
Yes, I am. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, James Jones. I'm kind of laid back today. I got on my little service hat here because Tobie's sporting his hat. Sorry, Miss Williams, you don't have a hat on, but
no,
you still wear a hat.
Invisible hats. I wear different hats. They're invisible.
There you go. Mm-hmm. I have a question that I always ask. Some people like to call it the barbershop, or we like to call it kicking it with the fellows. But when men are together, the pointed question, I'm starting to see more women of color have ownership than men of color, and it brings something striking to me. Is there a balance there, or does it seem like that men of color are being left behind when it comes to ownership?
I don't necessarily think that men are being left behind. I just think women are more aggressive and they see other women doing it and they have a different mindset that they can do it as well. And they have a point to prove to the world. That's just what I believe. Man or woman, you can do whatever you put your mind to. No disrespect. I just think women, when it comes to getting what they want, they do a little more homework and they just go out and get it. I don't think men are necessarily being left behind. I just don't think they're trying to keep up as much.
Yeah, but when I see that and I ask those pointed questions, it's because what I'm seeing now is not only the tenacity and the aggressiveness, but it's there, and we're looking at, okay, are we walking with y'all, or are y'all leaving us behind? Are we taking the lead, or are we, we're walking behind, or are we going to walk beside? And so that was one of my questions with you being an owner. But then there's a different dynamic, because you sit somewhere that's different, that when you walk into a room and we're talking about loans, because you are a broker and you're sitting there and you're talking about people who buying their first houses, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and people are signing their names on the line. Is it more likely that you deal with more couples, or are you dealing with more women than men?
Well, to the first part of your question, when I get couples and they come to me and they say, well, I'm ready to do it, I'm ready to invest. When it's a couple, the man is mostly making the decision with the money. But when it's just a lady coming to me, she's ready, she listens more. Men are more scared because they feel like they're making a decision for the family and they don't want to, lose the money or go wrong, make a wrong decision because the wife's never going to let them down. As far as first-time home buyers, I get a lot of women that are going to the table alone now. I get some couples, but not as many. Yeah, mostly women. They're going to the table alone. And I hate to see that, but I really hate to see it because when they start building homes and then they get a man later, it's like it's their home and they make the rules and you don't get to build together. So that's what I'm seeing now. And that's part of the last week's generational curses where we were talking about women hiding money from men and men hiding money from their wives. And instead of building together, you're still trying to separate. It's like they're making a plan, an escape plan before they can even get together. Like, I'm going to get the house in my name just in case something don't go wrong. And then he's going to have to leave. And that's what I'm saying.
Do you think that's part of like leadership, or do you think that's part of just their makeup and where they're coming from?
That's hard to say. That's kind of hard. It's kind of a hard question. I'm gonna circle back to that one. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give you mine so you won't be out there by yourself. Me personally, as a man, as one who is a leader, I will tell you that a lot of men of color don't have a whole lot of leaders. I didn't say they didn't have no leaders, but I'm saying they don't have a lot of leaders and ones who they can trust and give them the information to make wise decisions. They don't have a whole lot of it. A lot of times what I see is the blind leading the blind. And I was telling Tobie a long time ago, I said, and I really believe this, you can only make real wise choices when you have enough information. If you don't have enough information and you have to make a choice, you're playing a guessing game now. And there are consequences. So a lot of men that when we were talking about that choice, they are more apprehensive because they made a choice in the past that was more detrimental. Now you're talking about more money on the line in the family, and they're a little bit, the word I like to use, apprehensive, right? It's not that they're scared, it's apprehensive. So they're looking at worst case scenario. If this goes south, if this goes wrong, this can hurt me and hurt other people. Yeah. And a lot of people don't like to be put in that situation. So for them, when we're going back to our original topic about generational curses, I see it women and men, but I see it with more men of color because they fight against a lot of things a lot more than ladies. And in society, there's a lot more compassion for women than they are for men. That is a profound true statement.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because that hurts them and no one really has the compassion, then they become hard against the world and they have a I don't care attitude. And what I'm finding with the I don't care attitude is it's a detrimental to them. So when I asked that question, I wasn't asking that question to like put you in the hot seat. I was asking that question in a business aspect because I see a lot of women of color, especially where I'm at down here.
Yes.
Right. I see a lot of women of color, like what they making that move, Tobie. It's like y'all ready to go. They get all their friends, all these ladies, and they like, let's go in. We're gonna take this by choice. or by force. We going in.
Yep.
And everybody's clapping it up, and everybody's like, what's your vision board? I'm gonna own this business, I'm gonna own, and they have each other's support, right? And there are very few male groups. They do the same thing, but it's not a plethora of them.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm finding that catch up. And then someone, I think we had a lady on the show not too long ago, it was about a month ago, Tobie, and she's like, I'm sorry, I have to take the lead. Now, if a man comes along and he's strong enough, that was the context,
exactly.
strong enough, then I will let him lead me. But if he's not strong enough,
and that's true,
I'm not going there, because he can't. It's sort of like what we say as men. Warriors recognize warriors, and game recognize game. And you, Miss Williams, recognize when you sit in that seat as a leader, and you go in and you hear some nonsense where somebody's trying to get a contract in there, then you go in. I'm sorry, I've been doing too much talking. It's on you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I had a listen today, and I had no I had to go in and just put like proof of funds, and you have to have a portfolio before you can even talk to me about my listing, because I see a lot of people waste my time, and I don't want to waste my time, and I don't mind giving information if you're going to be serious about it. And some people, they come in and they don't listen. They just come in and they talk over you, and they think they know it, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it. So I can't hear.
I find that strange, because when I see that kind of people, I had to learn something that was very important, Ms. Williams, that when I was when I did not know and I thought I know, and I got in front of someone like you who knew because they walked down the path, they were basically saying, okay, I'm trying to give you enough courtesy, but please shut up so I can teach you. But then their feelings get hurt. And the reason why their feelings get hurt is because they was always out front and no one helped guide them. And so then they get to someone who is a leader, and it's like, oh, you just hurt my feelings now. I don't even want to come back because you just embarrassed me.
I don't look at it as embarrassment. You want something, you got to be willing to get embarrassed sometimes to go get it. And you got to be willing to listen. You got to know how to follow before you can lead.
Swallow your ego and pride.
Yeah. So
ego and pride. I think I touched on this last week. Miss Williams, I'm sorry not to cut you off. My lady is an alpha female. I'm not ashamed to say it. Okay, you're an alpha female. And because the reason why is because she has been leading her family her whole life. 3 girls, 3 life sentences, she calls it. Okay, 3 life sentences. Hey, I had 1, she had 3, so now we're a family of 4 daughters. And she's so used to leading, is because it's something that's been coming down from generational. And we go back into what we hear while we hear generational curses. Okay, and guess what? I've told her, I actually touched on it this past weekend with her, honey, you don't have to do this by yourself anymore. We're breaking this generational curse. Yeah. Where the women are the ones leading, and I've seen it a lot, to touch on what you said, James. I've seen it a lot where women come to the table, they're doing this and that. Where are brothers? And I tell brothers sometimes, fellas, both black and white, it doesn't matter what color or creed, I let them know, hey, if you want to get ahead in this world, it's okay. Swallow your ego. Your woman might know more than you. It's okay. That doesn't mean you're dumb. Just listen, because you might learn something a lot from her just as much as she's going to learn some things from you.
Yep.
Okay, Tobie.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that, Tobie. This opens up the segue here. So tell me, when we're talking about generational curses, right? And we're talking about leadership and men, I'm going to flip the script on you. I'm going to go a different way. Okay. And I always like to kind of save this for the end, Miss Williams. But I'm going to talk about something that is difficult for most people of color. When you do that, what about the church and the leadership there? Because I'm finding more women lead there, and then it filters out into society than I find men leading. And I'm not talking about the pastor. We're going to put him to the side. I can deal with him later. But on this one, I'm seeing all that play out in the same place where we clap our hands and give our praise. So Tobie, if that is to be so, why aren't more curses broken? And why are more people still broken, walking out through the same door that they came in?
One word, in my opinion. One word. Ego.
Go ahead. Ego?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I stand behind it. I stand behind it. It's ego. We as men refuse, because I'm the man of the house. Man, okay, what good is it if you're the head of the house, but you don't know what the heck you're doing? Or you allow your ego to get in the way, not to consult with your partner. This is what I'm dealing with now with people.
Okay.
Okay. So it might be different with other people. That question you asked me might be different, but in my opinion, it's ego.
All right.
So
Miss Williams.
Go ahead, Miss Williams. You got the floor. We said you got the floor today. So yeah.
Okay. I think it's mindset. And I just want to comment on what you said about the church, because my husband and I are not the same religion. Okay. He grew up in a Jehovah's Witness home, and I grew up in a Baptist home. So we have different beliefs when it comes to some things. We have fun, we debate a little bit, but he always like, okay, I'm gonna let you have this one. But yeah, so we have plenty of debates, because I was taught by my grandmother, you see a Jehovah's Witness, don't go to the door, So I wound up.
I remember those.
You know what I mean? Like,
I remember those.
pretty much. So that's how I was taught. Yeah. So, I fell in love with someone from a Jehovah's Witness background. So, with that being said, I am not an alpha female. I do let my husband lead, but he does not stop my growth. He does not make my decisions. He supports my decisions. He makes decisions, but he also runs them by me. So we kind of balance each other out. But I think definitely a mindset, because if you want something bad enough, you're going to do what you got to do to go and get it. You can't be afraid. You have to replace your fear with faith. You can't keep doing the same thing. So I'm going to say you got to change your mindset.
Okay. A Romans 12:2 concept. I got it. Well, I can see that. I can see that. And I can see yours too, Tobie. I look at some things, and I always challenge ourselves because we have. I like to say we have great sound bites, but when the rubber meets the road, it's not happening. And what I'm finding that is peculiar to me is going back to my statement entering in when I said about the church, because there's not a whole lot of men there. They're just not. And I go back to that because as one who leads, how do we get them there to be who they're supposed to be as leaders, right? Because when you step up and you take your rightful position and you know who you are, I like to call it this, Tobie, and both of you are correct, right? And I like to call it this identity crisis. There's a real identity crisis going on, because when you're unsure in who you are and what role you play, it's easy to either quit, be messy, or say, I'm not going to get involved. And what I found is the back door is just as wide open as the front door when it comes to the church, right? If you don't like what they say, You don't like the way they do things. I got my own opinion. I'm going to do it my way, or I'm just not going to come at all. And then send the wife and the children, but you stay home. And then what becomes really strenuous is like, if something happens, unfortunately to you, the same person that don't want to go will be the same person they had a funeral at that church.
Yeah.
And the only reason why is either they had to pay it, they had to pay for it, or if they didn't pay for it, because the wife and kids grew up in that church, right? Mm-hmm. So when I talk about leadership and I'm talking about curses, when does it stop? One of the things, I'm gonna be transparent here. One of the things about a curse is alcoholism. My grandfather had it, my uncles had it, my dad had it, I had it. Matter of fact, I was a functional one. And Tobie, this a lot of men have done this in the military. I could drink all night and then wake up and run, 15, 20 miles that day and go to the gym, right? And turn around at 5 o'clock when I get off, and I can do the same thing. That is someone who's a functional alcoholic and have not dealt with some serious issues. And that was mine. That was mine. And glory be to God, I had to break that, right? And I had this serious conversation with my dad. It's like I can't go down this road no more. I'm broken somewhere, and this is not drinking to celebrate. This is drinking to get high, or drinking to let off some pressure.
Escape, yeah.
And so that was mine as being transparent, and my generational curse. And I can see it through the corridors of time. I can see those alcohol bottles. I can remember going to the store with my dad, right? Him making his stop. And P.S., play lottery. I don't like losing my money, so I don't play the lottery. But I remember my dad, and I know my grandfather played too, the horses. So I'm just letting you know, I know that life, and that's that city life. And I grew up in Baltimore, and I've seen a lot of things that has transpired. And there are a lot of men who don't have men to help them be led and help them to have a better quality of life.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead there, Tobie.
Miss Arlancia, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I'm trying to drive this to you now. Tell us, or tell the world, how did you, if you had generational curses that ran between either you or your husband or anybody, how were you able to go around it, or how were you able to break that yoke of generational curses? I think you touched on it last week, but I want you to elaborate a little bit more.
I'm going to tell you a lot more today, probably than I planned on telling you.
Please.
So, I was speaking of me growing up in a very unconventional home where I had a stepfather. And when I would go to my grandmother's house, I never had any baby pictures. Like I said, I didn't have my baby pictures. I'm like, why am I different? Why do I look different? So when I was 15 years old, I skipped to when I was 15 years old, I went to Suitland High School over here in Maryland. And my mother and I, we walked to the store one day, and a guy walked in with a young lady that rides on my school bus. And he told my mother, "Oh, she looks just like her father." So a bell went off like, "Oh man, I have a father." Because growing up with a step parent, that's not your blood. So it's not really, I don't consider that really generational. But long story made short, I never met my dad until I was 15 years old. So because I was being abused in my home, right, I couldn't wait to get away. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity. I get to meet my father. Someone's going to love me. And so the next day on the school bus, I wrote a little note to Her name was Mise. I wrote a note that please let my father know where I am. I never met him, and I took a chance. The next day, she gets on the bus and she says, well, we spoke with your father, and he says, meet him tomorrow at the school bus stop. So when I met my father, I went to the bus stop. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my stepdad because I couldn't wait to get out of that household. So when I met my father, he pulled up. He looked just like me, and I was so happy. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. I finally got to meet my father. I knew nothing about him, right? Nothing about my grandparents. So I'm looking at, I get to meet all of my family and see who I really am. And so I was with my father maybe a week before my mother joined us. And again, I called my mother by her first name. So the 1 week of happiness that I had ended the next week, because when I came home from school, they left. They left me at 16, and I had to take care of myself. I was 15, but I was 15. I was getting ready to turn 16. So when they left, I kept thinking, oh, they just went somewhere. They're going to come back. So, and I'm saying all this to say, I didn't see my mom again until I was 25. And I haven't seen my father since then. I met him once. And so I went on and, I raised myself, and it allowed me to create me who I wanted to be, because me raising myself, I didn't get taught what everyone else got taught. Even though I saw it early on, I kind of luckily got to create myself and who I wanted to be. I didn't really get hit with all the generational curses. It's good and bad, and it's hard because sometimes you look at your parents and you try to imitate their behavior and what you see. And so I would imitate behavior that I saw on TV, or, what are they going to do? So I had the chance to raise my children a different way. And I made sure they said mommy. And I never used the word mommy and daddy, but I made sure that they got to use those words. So it was tough. And I didn't want to tell anyone at school, because I didn't want I didn't want anybody to come and get me. I'm like, I started taking care of myself. I started doing hair, and, I would imitate the behavior that I saw with my friends and their parents. And so I didn't really have, I wasn't really in a home where I got to see much, but my grandmother, I kept in touch with my grandmother, but it wasn't really precedent to her. Like, it wasn't a bad thing. Like, they didn't look at it like, oh, it was just, I guess they were used to men leaving and, them raising the kids on their own. And I was devastated when my parents left me. I'm like, why would they leave me? And second, I get my birth certificate, my name been changed so many times. And at first I'm like, I don't know who I am. And then as I began to grow, I know exactly who I am. You know what I mean? I'm strong, I'm gonna get through it. And so I feel like I started my own generation with my daughters. So that's my story. That's part of my story. So yeah.
Always like to say, go ahead, Tobie.
No, go ahead. I'm just trying to take in everything.
You're trying to process it.
I'm trying to process it
because I will say God is an awesome God.
Yeah.
And he will sometimes take away a piece or pieces where you think you might need. Yeah. He says, I see further than you. I need to remove that, because if not, it will be more detrimental to you than an asset to you. We look at, no, I really need that. He's like, no, you don't, because if you do, you will not be who I need you to be.
True.
And I want to say to you that God has taken care of you. And that is an outstanding, wonderful thing. Because I always tell people, I said, you're looking at what you think you don't have. Thank him for more doors being closed than more doors opening.
Yeah.
Far too many of us clap when the doors are opening and not clapping because he kept that door shut, because you don't know what's really behind that door.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm growing up, I went from talking to my girlfriends about what we're going to wear to school. You know, we're going to dress alike. And when my parents left, that went out the window, because now I can't be 16 anymore. I have to figure out how I'm going to feed myself, you know. So I would tell them, you know, my mother said I can't go out this weekend, just lying so I can look normal, because I'm trying to mock what they're saying when they get punished. So I'm just saying, you know, just pretty much doing the same thing. And so, yeah, that actually broke the generational curse for me, because when you don't have anything bad to look at, you don't have anything bad to mimic. So, you know, other than leaving. So I actually stayed. I think the only curse that I passed down to my children maybe is being a loner, because they don't have many friends either. So yeah, I think when for me, and I didn't want to pass that down to them, but when the two people that's supposed to love you walk out, I didn't think anybody, like I didn't trust anybody. I'm like, no. I have my mom back now, and you know, she's good. She's sick, so I'm taking care of her. I don't hold anything against my parents. You know, I love them. I pray for them. I talk to my father almost. I try to talk to him every night, but you know, and I tell him, he apologizes, and you know, I don't hold anything, you know, against him. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it, but I still love them, and I'm here for them, whatever they need, and you know, I'll take care of both of them. So yeah.
Wonderful heart, a wonderful heart.
Yeah.
Tobie, go ahead. You finished processing it?
I'm still trying to wrap my mind around how Miss Arlancia survived at 16 when parents left.
They left.
That had to be very terrifying.
Devastating. It was.
It had to be terrifying. How did you cope? How did you survive? I mean, how did you go from 16 to become, you were forced to grow up?
Actually, I was. So when I came home the first day, I saw everything was gone, and I'm like, oh, we must be moving. We must be getting a house. We're gonna move. And so the second day, I'm like, you know, they'll probably be here when I get home from school. And so I'm running out of money, you know, my lunch money's gone. I'm like, okay. At that point in my life, I began writing down day by day. It was a day by day survival for me until it became a week by week I could survive. And then I realized I'm good at making plans, and everything that I went after I actually got, I just had to write it out. So I didn't, you know, I prayed every night that they would come back, but it was years, and I really didn't know what had happened. And so I had to develop coping skills and survival skills. And it's okay to ask for help, but luckily I was able to, you know, do hair. I made a lot of money doing hair. I didn't sleep at night. I would wait until it get light to sleep. I was scared to walk down the street because I didn't want people to know I was in a house by myself, because I was like, oh, so I would make up, oh, my parents are home, I can't go outside. So I could have been anything less than what I am. But you have a choice to be what you want to be. I don't let people tell me what I can and cannot do. That's just going to make me go harder and show you what I can do, because I'm not an alpha woman. I'm quiet. And I think that was the beginning of me being quiet, because I was afraid and I didn't know what to do. And I've been quietly successful since then. I'm just starting to break out of that shell, and I'm able to talk about it without tearing up. And so hopefully it can help somebody else. Yeah, it was. I'm glad.
Resilient. You were resilient.
Yeah, yeah. I went from, you know, I went to school, I graduated, honor roll. I didn't tell my teachers, you know, I didn't want them to treat me different than they were treating the other kids. So I got a job doing hair. I bought myself clothes. I fed myself. I couldn't cook. I taught myself how to cook. And here I am. So here I am today. And I think that experience stopped me from being scared to take chances. I don't look at them as chances. Other people look at them as chances. I look at it like, no, this is what I'm going to do. So a lot of people like my husband, what's our plan B? I don't have a plan B. My plan A has to work because here it is. It's a
And you
proof.
believed in
Yeah.
yourself. You believed in yourself. You believed in yourself. You broke pretty much, and please stop me if I am wrong. You broke that generational curse because you knew how to survive. You knew how to survive. You had a game plan. You knew how to survive. And now that has been forwarded to your children. And I'm pretty sure your children are just as relentless as you are, because it's what you put out as a parent is what most kids would follow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because my daughter would call me out in a minute. Well, Dad, you did this and that when you were young, you know. And I say, yeah, but I was stupid, but I got better.
Mm-hmm.
So, Miss Arlancia, I applaud you. Just when you thought you had issues growing up, try growing up by yourself at 16. Not 17, not 18, but 16. You're still a baby in the eyes of thousands of adults. You're still a baby, you know? And, you know, for those who are watching out there today, you know, if Miss Arlancia can break it, you can break the curse too. You just have to be one, obviously. You were disciplined. Because you didn't want to be out there in the street. You were disciplined. You chose. It's about choices, like you said, Miss Arlancia. It's a choice that you made. Your life could have gone in either way. It could have gone either way. And God did not allow that to happen. Okay? God set a path for you. Like, okay, this is what you know what?
Yep.
Your parents are not there. Here's what we're going to do. And God gave you the tools, and you did it. You broke that curse of, you know, being by yourself, and, you know, no one's catering to you. Oh my God, your life could have gone either way. So to our viewers out there, come up with a plan and be disciplined. If you're disciplined and you come up with a blueprint for how you want to get out of this, and you add God to that mix, all those three, it'll work. Generational curses can be broken. It's just discipline.
Yeah, they are not assigned to you. Bad behavior is assigned to you. You can, you know, make a choice. You can take the word impossible and make it into impossible. And failure is not an option.
Failure is not an option. It's not an option. Impossible is nothing. You know, to piggyback on what you said, General, my dad was an alcoholic. That's why I don't drink beer. My dad I saw what it did to my dad. He was functional too. Okay. My dad worked in the intelligence community in Nigeria. Okay. So he will still deliver for the president, do whatever he needs to do. But once it's 5 o'clock, it's happy hour. Okay. So, and it was bad. It was destroying the family. My grandfather was the same thing. So I can confidently say today, I broke that curse because I don't drink. If I do drink, it's one glass of wine or mojito, and that's it. I don't go any further.
Yeah.
I don't go any further. So I've broken curses. I accomplished some things that my father accomplished at an older age. I accomplished it at a younger age. I bought my own home, my first house in my 30s. You know, in my 30s, I bought my late 30s. I bought my first home. You know, and so my dad didn't get his first home till he was, I think, 55, something like that. So there were some things that my father and my grandfather did late in their lives that I did younger at a younger age, you know. And with my daughter and my daughters now in plural, I'm going to do the same thing for them as well. So, Mr. Arlancia, so how do you encourage? Do you share your stories with your kids? Let me ask that question.
I did. I did share my story with my children because they asked about their grandfather. You know, right now, their father's side of the family. And the reason I chose to do that because I wanted them to grow up with a family because I didn't have a family. So when you don't have a family, you're seeking that, that family structure. And I didn't want them to not have anyone. If something was to happen to me, I definitely want them to have a big family because I always wanted that. And I didn't get it. I did not get it until this day, I still want it. So yeah, I share with them my story. Not so they can not like their grandparents, just so they can know who they are and the mother, where they come from, and that when they start having smaller issues, I'm like, you can get through this. You don't have to. I don't want them to be quitters because I wasn't a quitter. You can keep going. It's okay to mess up, and a lot of people think that you're not going to be successful. You can, if you need help, you can ask for help and still be successful. You don't have to start off alone. We all need a little startup money, or you all need a little cheering team, and it's okay to fail. Failing is a part of success. It's just, I didn't want to fail, but it's okay, So.
And it's not necessarily failing. I don't look, when you do something wrong, you don't do well, I take it as an experience.
Exactly.
Just use the experience and flip it into something positive next time going forward.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. Have you ever thought about writing a story about this? You could flip this into a movie, me being a filmmaker and all. I'm just saying. Like, you could flip this into a book to motivate people out there.
Yeah. Actually, when I was on my good 9-to-5 job, I had a promotion, and in order for me to move forward, the director asked for a biography. So I actually wrote it out in detail because there's a lot of experience in there. And the next day, she came over in tears because you just never know what someone has went through. And so she was like, you really should write a book. And I'm like, maybe, I think of my mom now. I don't want to hurt her, but it did happen. And it's very therapeutic for me to write it out and read it just to see how far that I've come. So, yeah, because I always look at success is not really where you are, it's how far you come from where you were. And because I always tell my daughters, I could have been on drugs, I could have been anything, but I chose to get up, take myself to school, and get good report card and graduate. And from there, I could have made the wrong decision, but luckily, I guess it was God, because I didn't go down the wrong road. I did not. I had no desire to party. I was a good girl. So yeah, it was an experience. I don't want to go back there, but I definitely can help people. I can probably help counsel people that's in that situation because I've been there. Woo! Couldn't believe it. Like they left me.
General, your thought. I'm still trying to process this, man. Whoa.
Well, he comes, Miss Williams, he comes from a different part of the world than where we came from. And we've seen a lot where we come from. That what they call it, the DMV.
Yeah.
DMV. I mean, I was born in the DMV, Washington, D.C. I didn't grow up. I left when I was 7, grew up in Nigeria. That's what he meant by the other side of the world that I'm from. So I'm half Nigerian and I'm half American. So there is no way. Yeah, in Africa, in Nigeria, my tribe in Nigeria, there is no way I would not leave my 16-year-old child in the house. No, she is going with me wherever we go. Not over here. We taking the word selfishness to a whole different level. Nigerian parents, they live for their children, even if the husband and wife don't like each other, if they can't stand each other, if they hate each other with a passion, they'll sleep in separate rooms, but they'll still remain in the same house because they want their kids to grow up in a nuclear home. Okay.
Then again, speaking of generational curses, I found out later that my father, his mother looked at them as adults at 16. They had to fend for themselves. And I'm not sure.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of them, but my father, I speak to him all the time. When I met him, he had a couple of guys in the car with him, and my father, God, I don't want to say too much, but he was one of the biggest drug dealers, period. And I did learn that. And I had my uncles here, his brothers, and they would tell me all of the stories. And I just, they were left to fend for themselves at 16. So maybe, he apologizes to me every day, and he feels so bad that he left me. And I'm not sure it's because I actually made it, because he tells me how proud he is. And I'm like, why don't you, it's time to come home and let me just take care of you. I forgave you when you left. I just didn't understand. Like, I never held it against him or my mom. I just wanted them to come home. So,
Well,
yeah,
Miss
probably,
Williams,
yeah.
we're proud of you, and that's an
Yeah.
awesome story.
I take my
And
head off. I salute, man. Go ahead, General.
I would tell you, I've spoken to men before who felt as though they had let their family down, because now they're older. They're no longer younger, and life is getting ready to come to an end. And they realize that. And what they try to do is, they can't right those wrongs, but what they can do is communicate and say how appreciative he is of you and how sorry he was that he had did that. There are a few things I heard in your story, that I coming from where I come from, I'm kind of glad he did leave you. And I say that not in a selfish way, but when you're in that kind of lifestyle, you don't want to have, because I had family members that was in that lifestyle, and they target their family. They target the young lady, and they target the children. And it was bad. And in more ways than one, it protected you. Because one of the things that was said was, one, you don't come around here, right? Because we won't want them, if they coming after you, to target anybody in this family. Now you go do you, but not with these babies and these ladies. But I will also say this: as one who is a leader, there are a lot of people who need leaders in all aspects of life. We have responsibilities where you have your husband and your children. Then there's church. I always teach this: someone's always watching you.
Watching.
And you can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but I'm looking at your actions. And I remember my father said to me one time, he said, actions speaks louder than words. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but if your actions are not lining up with your words, we got some serious issues. Or they say, Houston, we got a problem. We got a serious problem. Yeah. So I say that in this. Someone's always watching you as a leader. Even if you're not mentoring them, they're still watching you. They're watching, how did this individual who is so quiet be able to have enough tenacity without anybody leading her, make these wise choices? Because they're very wise. And if you don't have them, a lot of times we make those poor choices. I heard someone best say it this way, and I can't take credit, but they said it this way: voices and choices. The voices you listen to and the choices you made have currently decided where you are in this world right now. And that's a true fact. The voices you listen to and the choices you have made have currently decided where you are in life right now.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have people to help you make wise choices, experiments are very costly. In other words, if you're making choices based off of what you think you know, that experience costs you something. It costs you time. It costs you money. It could cost you a relationship. So it costs. And you can only keep taking so many of those hits before a lot of, like the young men we meet, they want to give up because they couldn't take those many blows. They, you know, it sounds great to get up, but certain people have taken some blows, and they not is, you know, Tobie, they not built that strong. You know,
No.
we always said our generation or my generation, we look at this current generation like,
this current generation, I'm sorry.
y'all are
Weak.
smart, y'all are intelligent. It's all get out, but y'all
They're
can't.
weak.
They said that what is it? God, I can't forget. I can't remember. I think it was strong men create rich men, and rich men create weak children. I think the father before me was catching a bus. I'm driving. My son will be driving, but my grandchild will be walking again. Like, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's true. They are not as strong as we are.
They're
I don't.
not
The children.
and I think part of that issue too is because we've enabled them. We've enabled our kids.
Yes.
Did you remember having a cell phone when you were young, or heck, a pager or a beeper? You don't even recall.
We were outside too. They can't go outside. You know, I wouldn't let my children go outside today because there's too many crazy people outside.
You got pedophiles out there. You got perverts out there. You know, and Lord, I got 4 girls. My God, you know, I said, God, please help your son. Help your son. Dealing with, you know, I said, our kids today, we've enabled them. And I think part of the reasons, and I'm guilty of enable. I'm guilty. I'm not ashamed to say it. I think part of the reason is we've enabled our kids because we didn't have what they have now when we were young.
Yep.
We didn't have that. We're playing outside. Back in the day, we would play outside when lights come on. That's your time to go home.
Oh yeah.
Today,
it's
today. It's like you got to call. They call on their cell phone that we don't have a cell phone. Mom, I'm going to be late. You're going to be late.
They text.
Or they text. Actually, the kids today, they don't talk on the phone. They do text. They text more than talking. My daughter, when she was with me before she moved back with her mom, she could be right here in the room, in her bedroom. I'm here at my desk working. She will text me, Dad, what are we eating? Whatever is on that stove. Or if not, make something on that stove. And why are you texting me? Okay? When you're right here, you know, they don't like to talk. They text and they send emojis. Emojis have now become a language now.
Yes. You can have a whole conversation with emojis.
With emojis. You can have a whole conversation with emojis now, you know? So I'm grateful.
So what would you do then? What would you do to change that kind of atmosphere?
Oh my God. That is an open-ended question. Miss Arlancia, you want to take that?
No, you go first.
I'll help you out. I'll help you out.
Listen.
One of the things I would tell you how to change that atmosphere is what I'm learning is the more time we spend with them and let them be them and watch, we can help navigate them. I don't need to change you as much as I need to, the better word is probably life coach you in your choices, which will help change your projection of what you see. Someone best said this: if you ever go to a stadium, it's all these seats, but all of them are not great seats to see what you need to see. And in life, there are certain places I need to be able to see to make a better choice or a better decision. And I really believe this, Tobie, and this is why I was talking about leadership and about breaking generational curses, because those experiences that you had, they were costly. you take those experiences and you help navigate someone else with their choice so they won't have to pay the same price that you paid. Just like Miss Williams, she paid a huge price.
Oh, she did.
But now she can help navigate someone or help them in such a way that they do not have to make an expensive payment that was very costly in time and money and resources that they probably didn't have.
Right.
And that's where I think we can really make the change at. Because if someone's always watching me, I need to always be aware of what I'm doing and what I'm saying. And people are more worried about their what is that they call? We used to call it reputation. They call it something else. Their image, their
rep.
No, that's what we used to call it, but it's called something else now. It's where their image is costly. Like people say they make money off their image. So it's who they are. We used to say it's about our reputation. And so someone's always watching you. Someone's always listening. Your children are doing the same thing. And if you are reflecting who you are really supposed to be, then you don't have a problem with teaching, because that's what you're doing. And you're constantly learning. You're in the school of life. You're in the school of learning, and you would do that till the day you die. And our objective is, if we are learning, what are we giving back? So that's my Tobie, that's my answer to that question. You want to have at it now?
Yeah. Two things I want to say, Ms. Arlancia, two things I want to say to you. Because you chose accountability. Accountability is very important to you. This is important to me. Accountable for your actions. You knew what your actions, whatever action you took at that age, what it'll cost you. You knew that in an early age. That alone takes the cake with everything you've done. Accountability. So, which is a lot of things that our kids are lacking today. I wanted to say that to you. Number two, listen, here, your story could either change or save somebody's life. Put it out there. Let the world know, because your story could change or save a life. Okay? Please keep that in mind. If there's nothing you don't take from this show today, and for our viewers today, please take that story and do something with it. It could change or save a life. I just want to make sure that if nobody was telling you this, you heard it first from our show. Okay, because it could bless. Your story could bless someone.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have to have. Coming from me, Miss Arlancia, your story is powerful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because your story right now can be a blueprint of what someone needs to do to stop generational curses. Okay, you got to put the discipline factor in it. You got to have a plan, and then you got to put God behind it. Those three things that we need to do. For those listening tonight, follow those 3 steps and watch this over again and listen to Ms. Arlancia's story. It could save, or it could make you change your life, or make changes in your life to stop the curses going on currently in your family right now. The curses of jealousy, the curses of there's jealousy, alcoholism, like we talked about earlier. It could be anything pretty much negative that's going from generation to generation. It could be early pregnancy. It could be early pregnancy. It could be, boys maturing too early at an early age, having babies at a young age. On the flip side of, premature, pregnancy. These curses, it goes from generation to generation. I've seen it. That's why I know. It's sad when you have people in your life, they spend more time on their backs than standing up. It's bad, but it's a real world, So, coming up with a plan, discipline, and add God to it, and there's no reason why you can't break the curses. I said my piece. Dr. James Jones, I'll call you doctor now because you coming up. Please close us out and take us home.
Well, even though you didn't answer the question, it's all good.
It's a long process to answer that. And I don't want to answer it the wrong way. I don't. If you don't have my dad, I would say, if you don't know how to answer it, go back and rethink it. So I might give the answer today. I might give the answer next week. Forgive me, Miss Arlancia, if you're not here. But if I get the answer, I will respond.
I'm going to be watching.
Yep.
Well, Tobie, you did very well. And someone always said, as long as you come from the heart, people will always appreciate that. So such as with these curses, I remember you gave the definition the first show.
Mm-hmm.
And it is about our bad habits, and it's about the things that we allow to take in. And that's the wonderful thing about you, Miss Williams. You didn't take in a lot of negativity and a lot of information that could destroy you or hurt you. To be, relentless in your pursuit, and you kept yourself, and that is a hard thing in a world that is so cold and so hard, and so careless. It doesn't care anymore. It takes our youngest, it takes our oldest, it'll take anything and everything that means something to people. This world will take. And that enemy is out to, like the Bible said, to kill, steal, and destroy. So with those takeaways, we're going to give you the last word, Miss Williams.
My last word, love yourself and love others. And you can do anything that you put your mind to. And don't let anyone tell you it's too late to get started, because it's never too late to get on the right track.
Okay. All right. I know it's tough for people, especially when they have a reputation of doing the wrong thing, and someone sacrifice or take a risk to help them. We just have to learn how to appreciate. But in all things, I always say, before you even make any move, ask the Father.
Right on it.
We can never go wrong, because He should be our first.
Mm-hmm.
That blueprint called the Bible is crucial. It is everything you need to survive in this current world. But before I go, I want to say thank you, Miss Williams. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome story. We're proud of you. We cannot say enough. You're a great representation of your family, your community, and even your church family. It says a lot about your character and who you are. And you're right. Time is valuable. Don't let anyone waste it. It's your most valuable asset, not your money, not your mind, your time.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it. Take care of it. And any last words, Tobie, before I close out?
Ms. Arlancia, thank you. And if you decide to put this thing to work, either in book or film, please give us a call. Reach out. Reach out. We're filmmakers. If you see my page out there, we're filmmakers. So let us know. You get to do the casting. Who's going to play your role? You get to do all of that. But Ms. Arlancia, thank you so much. This just didn't impact me today. This is going to impact our viewers tonight. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get questions from our viewers or anything of sort. Down the line in the future, maybe before the end of the year, God willing, we might bring you back.
That'll be good. I didn't know you guys were filmmakers. Yes, I'm trying to enter into that filmmaking world. I wrote a couple of movies, so we're going to see how it goes.
Okay.
Everything is always based on my experience. So
there it is.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. Yep. Courtney, I put it out there early. Probably before the end of the year, we're going to bring Miss Arlancia back at some point. Mm-hmm. But because thank you so much. And now I'm going to hand off to the general to close us out.
Miss Williams, would you like to? I know I said I'd give you the last word. If you don't, I'll go ahead and close out.
No, I don't have a last word. I always say good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. All I can
Amen.
say.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, my brothers and sisters, for watching. We appreciate you. We thank you. Until we meet again, be safe out there. Make wise decisions. Tell someone that you care about them, that you love them, appreciate what you have, and help someone else. God bless and take care.
Yes, take care.
Bye.
I wanted to say one last thing for our show next week to give a heads up. Now, one last thing, ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry. Next week's show is about how to recover from financial loss. And our guest next week is Miss Candace Holyfield Parker. So stay tuned next week. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for coming and have a blessed week, everyone. See you next week.
Thanks, Clock TV and C3. Thanks, Clock.